It's time for Youth Central Sports. From the hills and the mountains of Tennessee, it's the original Coach Carter. And somewhere off the strip of Las Vegas, it's the elder Rory T. Edwards. And somewhere near Mickey and Minnie Country in Orlando, it's Charles E. Morse. And now it's time for Youth Central Sports. Because sports is more than a game.
Okay, sports is more than a game. I'm looking at the original Coach Carter, somewhere through the hills and the mountains of Tennessee. Here in Mickey Country myself, understand that Rory told me that he was taking a flight. So he's somewhere over in the high mountains in the sky, somewhere traveling to Atlanta or North Carolina.
I think it's Atlanta.
Yeah. So I think he said he was headed to, is it? Yeah. I think he said North Carolina, right?
I thought it was Atlanta. Now I could be wrong.
Yeah. It's Atlanta. Yeah, it's Atlanta. Yeah. So how you been, man? I mean, it was in the 30s in Florida. So what is it like in Tennessee now? It was in the 30s in Florida, so
16.
I know it's cold there.
16.
60, see? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
They were 38. Well, actually, it got up to 43, and then it started falling. And so we are currently at 28 and falling.
Well, that cold spell hit last night, so it has gone through. So the temperatures will be back up to Florida type in the next day or two. So we done.
Not here. We just getting started. I think our temperatures are going to rise next week. For a little unseasonably high in the 60s.
Right.
But I don't stay there long. I think we're going to drop it down again.
I got a couple of things I want to pick at you, man. It's like there's so much stuff that's been going on over the past week, right?
Right.
But it's so funny because I actually had forgot about that Roy Jones Mike Tyson fight, right? And I just happened to be like strolling on YouTube, and they go, "There's the fight," right? So I go, "Oh,
Right.
Here's the full fight." So I don't know if you got a chance to see this thing, but,
I have no reason.
but in the midst of it, now I knew nothing about this, right? I knew nothing about this. So then what pops up is Nate Robinson getting knocked out.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
That I saw. I actually saw that. I really wonder in my heart of hearts, what was Nate thinking about? He wanted to be the toughest NBA player. Well, there are two sides. There's two. I've heard some comments that he stepped into his dream. Okay, that may very well be true, but he stepped right smack into the other guy's hand through. That really put his dream at a different advantage. I mean, knocked him out cold. One hit was done. Now, I haven't heard much of him since that incident. I assume that he's recovering well, because that was ugly. That was worse than the Tyson fight. And they said that was a draw.
Right. Yeah. I saw that. Well, part of what I wanted to ask you, and I think I asked you this before, when this whole pandemic started, right? So are we that drawn to sports to the degree in which we have no life that we have to do this thing the way that we have to do it? Because whatever that Tyson Roy Jones things was, whatever inspired Nate Robinson, I don't know. And then we're seeing what's going on with the pandemic throughout all sports and all of this stuff. Are we really that starved? I don't know what you call it,
I
Vince.
think
I
if,
don't know what
I
you call it,
think
but
if you're a sports fan, yeah, you're starved. You're starved for quality sports. You want your traditional sports. These other activities like that boxing exhibition, if you will, is just a side thing that would have occurred no matter what, because it's a gimmick. In my opinion, it's a star for attention. It's just an added bonus to get out and do something. It makes no very. For me, it had no value, but to some people that may have been valuable. But I do think when you look at sports overall, those of us who are sports junkies, and I'm one of them, we miss our sports, but we miss, and that for me, it's meaningful sports. It's organized sports, sports with purpose. You know, like the major, your NBA, your NFL, your Major League Baseball, and soccer and stuff. Now these side situations like that, I think because I'm not necessarily a boxing fan, I saw no real value in that. It was pure entertainment, and for me, didn't do very much for me. Now, maybe a boxing fan, they might have thought that was something, but how could you? Tyson and this guy Roy Jones. I mean, come on, seriously, what's wrong with y'all? And then Nate going there, and this guy told Nate, "Hey man, don't do this," and he did it anyway and knocked him out cold. So, I, um,
you know what, Vince? You know what? I would disagree with you.
okay,
I would disagree with you not being a boxing fan. And what I mean by that is you you can't tell me that you wasn't watching Ali and those guys back in the day.
I watched him, but I wasn't a boxing fan. I watched that. It's different, I watched Ali. I was more of an Ali fan than I was a boxing fan.
Right.
Sugar Ray
But
Leonard, those. I mean, I
right,
wasn't an avid fan,
but what
but
I'm
I've
saying
witnessed enough.
is because boxing is not what it used to be. Because I don't even, if you ask me, because back in the day, I guarantee you, you could have told me who was the heavyweight champion. You probably followed, Sugar Ray. You probably followed, what's the guy that beat him? Uh, what's his name? That beat Sugar Ray the first time, and then the second time Sugar Ray embarrassed him.
Yeah, such I
Yeah,
can't call his name.
yeah. So you 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 you
Those,
you
yeah, but those
you
fights are
probably
something.
followed Hearns,
Not so
right?
much, but still,
So I'm saying in that
those were
circle
bench.
in time when boxing was where it was, you was kind of into boxing. It's just
But
boxing is not nothing like it used to be, and
but well, no
and
sport is
people
like.
like you and I, we'd be like boxing. Oh yeah, that's right. They still box.
Yeah, I mean, my friends who are avid boxing fans, they do talk about the change in the game, the multiple weight limits that you have, and the quality of the boxers that are in there. But that can be said. That could be said of any sports, from golf to tennis, all individual sports as well as team sports. It's just changing. The athlete is changing. The spirit of the game is changed. Boxing is not what wrestling. I always thought wrestling was an absolute waste of time.
Oh yeah.
It was just phony from start to finish. But there are people who believe that stuff and support that and travel all over the country following that stuff. So again, in looking at boxing, those fights like that, yeah, those you couldn't help because they were marketed the way they were marketed. You kind of had to watch, say, "Oh my gosh, let me take a look at that." But if you asked me outside of that, what were they doing? I probably couldn't tell you because I really wasn't following them like that. Sugar Ray, I followed a little bit because I remember him in college when he fought in the Olympics, and I kind of followed him into his professional career. Ali was such a figure that you couldn't help but follow Ali, or at least watch Ali. And I had a chance to not meet him, but be in his company. Right then, DeLand, Florida. He was coming through one day and stopped to right there downtown, and I happened to be in the area and had a chance to see him. Didn't get a chance to talk to him and get close to him. Yeah, so it kind of made it a little bit more personal both for me. But if you ask me about each and every fight that he had, I probably couldn't tell you that because I wasn't that big of a boxing fan. I was more of an Ali fan,
Right.
but not so much a boxing fan. Tommy Hearns,
Right.
those
Hagler.
guys.
Hagler.
I mean, they were. they were boxers, and I recognized that they were there, but a fan per
Duran was
se,
his name. Duran.
yeah, Durant, yeah,
Right.
Durant. No Moss, he said
Right.
when
Right.
or no, and that was a benchmark type fight that drew your attention, but like right now, fights taking place. Sometimes I have no idea what's going on because I'm not a
None of
fight
us
fan.
do. None of
You know,
us.
some of my friends now they're following that stuff, and they can tell me about who is this, what his records, and all that. Kind of like what I can do in some cases about those sports I follow, and I respect what they say because I don't know. Now some of the this thing with Hearns, I mean I'm sorry, this thing with
Nate. Nate.
Nate, I, I didn't understand what that was about to start with, but okay, you want to get in there and do that. I mean, that's your right to do that, but that couldn't be what he was anticipating. And Tyson and this other guy, what purpose did that serve? I mean, other than entertainment. I mean, and it's for somebody it was entertainment. I'll be honest with you. For me, it was not entertainment.
Right. It was. It was. I don't even know what you call it. It was. I have no idea. But I knew nothing about the Nate Robinson fight whatsoever. It just happened to pop up, and I looked and said Nate Robinson got knocked out, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, let me take a look at this, and they're like, yeah, he
Yeah,
got knocked out.
there had been some.
And it's
I
not
don't know
like
how widespread it was,
it's
but there
not like
was.
I'm not a Nate Robinson fan. I'm just like, okay, why are you doing this?
You never know what drives these former athletes to take on new endeavors. And maybe he's a tremendous athlete, and I don't say no, but this didn't work out well. Now, I don't know what his comeback would be. This did not work out well because boxing is a sport. I do know enough about boxing to know you cannot be a cavalier boxer. You got to put in the time. A few weeks is not enough to get ready for a guy who is a boxer, who spent years, working on his craft, and then you come in as a novice. Typically, that does not work, and this was the case in point where it didn't work.
Yeah, that didn't work, and I'm
Not,
like,
not
wow, that was like, okay, okay, all right. So, luckily, I think he's okay. You know, I
My understanding is he's recovered. From his physically now, his emotions may be a little tender, but I think physically he's okay,
right, okay,
from what I've been told. I don't. That's what I.
okay. Well, the NBA is getting ready to do their
In fact,
thing.
the coaches went back. The first teams are starting. Players are starting to report. Training camp officially opens on the 11th. In fact, they got some preseason games coming up
Right.
within that time. Then they kick it off on the 22nd of December. So it's major, and plus the draft has to come in there. So they got a lot to do in the next few weeks. Um, it's going
Big
to be very,
trade.
very big
Did you
trade
see
today.
the trade?
Well, I had predicted that they were going to trade one or both of them, and thus far Westbrook is going. They got John Hall. That's going to be interesting to see. He's not played in 2 years, maybe 3 years. Are they going to actually keep him, or will they, sign and trade him, or waive him, or what they're going to do? Plus, they got a first round draft pick out of that. So Westbrook, Washington, the style of play that Washington has played could he could be a benefit. They're just going to have to see how he fits in. I don't know. John Wall hadn't played in so long. His style of play could help. Could the way he did play ball. I don't know if he, where is he now in terms of his ability to play. He could be a benefit to watch to Houston because Houston is really changing its dynamic. They got a couple of big guys, so they're going to go back to traditional basketball and not play small ball.
Right. Yeah. There's been so many trades.
Yeah, and it's that
Crazy.
time of year. They turned around. They re-signed LeBron for some reason to a 2-year extension out in LA for $85 million extension, and they're under the impression that they're going to repeat. Um, We'll see. I don't think so, but nevertheless, they lost a lot of pieces and they're picking up a lot of pieces. So we'll see how that plays out for them. It's going to be interesting. I think that for me, watching the Warriors is probably, especially now that Clay has gone down, how will they fill that hole? Having picked Wiseman, which is what I thought they might do, I think he
Right.
does add a lot to what they want to do, but not having Clay really does put a strain on them to some degree. It'll be interesting to see how they put that together. Because I do think they'll be competitive. I do think they got enough pieces that they could be competitive. But can they fill Clay's position? Clay is Clay. Now they
Right.
might have to do it by committee. They might have to do it by committee. So we'll wait and see how that works out.
Yeah, I was really, really looking forward to watching the Warriors this coming season. I really wanted to see what they were going to do, what they were, I really thought they was
I
going to
still think
be,
though.
you
I
know,
still
you
think
know,
they're going to be exciting to watch. I mean, Kerr has done a great job. He's got a great nucleus of guys, and what they have had the opportunity to do is spend a whole year preparing. Because they didn't they had nothing to do with any of the playoffs, so they had all that time to get back in the gym, pull up pieces, into work out people, try to put pieces together, put their trade packages together, and draft situations. So they may come out. They might not be what those who are Warrior fans had anticipated, but I do think they're going to be interesting to watch. I 100% believe that.
yeah, I saw,
Wiseman adapt very quickly.
yeah, 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 yeah. Did you see where Zion said that he held back last year? Did you did you see that? Zion said that he didn't pull everything out his bag. He held back and didn't show all of his stuff. Did you did
Okay.
you see that?
No, and I would never have read that with the anticipation that that was true. He's limited. That's an excuse, in my opinion. It's just strictly my opinion. And that's just an excuse for not being prepared to play. He didn't hold. He didn't have anything to hold back. He's got to spend the offseason learning the game at the NBA level. It's not run up. It's not north south. Just run, dunk, and jump and dunk the ball. That's not going to happen. So he didn't hold back anything. That's what he played in college. That's what. And so, in my opinion, he just wasn't ready to play. Now, maybe he had the time off to try to get ready. And to me, for me personally, I can't tell him what to say and how I say it. But in my mind, saying you just want to come back this year and play some basketball and get better because you didn't have anything to hold back, in my opinion. So I don't agree with that.
Right. They they actually I think should have a pretty good team this year. Have you checked out their
Well,
roster?
they got a nucleus of players that they picked up and they changed coaches and all of that. And I think for me, until we actually see them get on the floor, it'll be interesting to see how well these people mesh. This is probably the key factor. What kind of chemistry do they have that would allow them to be able to take care of all those personalities and stuff? And I think that's Van Gundy is their coach. So Van Gundy has a different approach to the game. So they got to learn Van Gundy's style and all of that. So their roster is interesting, but again, for me, it's always I'm a wait and see kind of guy. I try not to get too hyped about what the roster says or what the latest trade is about, because for me, it's about team chemistry and how well they play when they get on the floor. So we'll get a chance to see that early on. I think with because I think they're going to have some preseason games. We're going to kind of see what kind of flow they have. It is said that they tried to put some pieces around him, that being Zion and Ingram as well, that would allow them to be a force. And we'll see how well that comes together.
You know what? Who surprised me as far as breaking up the team was Toronto. They broke that team up.
Well, you do realize that was money. That was a matter of caps and maxing out salaries and not being and looking at, do I want to pay this guy for 3 more years and when I could get someone that has even longer career longevity than a younger player for the same amount of money or less, maxing out contracts. Do I want to actually pay that money for this guy to do that? So and I don't know if there's a formula for when you change. But I do know that at some point in time you got to do that, and this might be the best time to do it because they're making a complete change. They're moving to Tampa, and they're going to play out of Tampa instead of playing out of Canada. So that's going to change some of what they do. It gives them a fresh look, and they got some guys that probably need to go. I say that in respect to all players, but it's just time to make a change. And so they did. They really dismantled, but they didn't totally dismantle, but they changed some major pieces. It's gonna be interesting to see what they look like as well.
But now here in the Orlando area, the talk was that they didn't get any better, that they got worse. They didn't make any moves to make the team better, which I don't know what they did or didn't do. But the talk
They they,
is that
they got a
it's the
couple of good.
same old, Orlando Magic.
Well, the Magic didn't do a bad job last year. What they did have, they actually didn't play bad at all. And it may be, maybe been a wise decision. Don't tamper with it too much. I think they added a couple of pieces, and I think Markel Fultz is really coming into his own. It may not been necessary to change it too much. But then again, people are looking at roster changes and and calling out decisions. And again, again for me, proof is in what I can see. When I see them on the floor, what are they going to look like? Because they pretty much got all the staff back. They got all the major core of the players are back, and they tried to add a couple of pieces, maybe here or there, maybe, and don't tamper with it too much. So we're going to see. Again, critics are saying, they didn't do anything. Time will tell. I thought they did okay, but the critics look at that thing otherwise.
You know, because we know very little, because we haven't seen any of the preseason. But I saw where and you said it that the Lakers are the favorite. Okay,
Right now.
right. So, what team are you looking at that you think that might, of course, we're guessing might make it to the NBA Finals?
Yeah.
Like the teams, like couple of teams that you think might have a shot at the NBA
To be honest with you,
Finals.
right now I'm not sure because everybody's changing. I would look at the Clippers again and to say, and they may have because their nucleus. They got a new coach, of course. A lot of them, the nucleus kind of stayed the same. They got to come to grips and resolve the Kawhi Leonard phenomenon. If they can get past that and get everybody to be on board now, they could be a force. Utah is somebody you got to watch. They have not underperformed, but been right on the edge. So it might be time for them to turn that corner. I don't think you can totally count out the Warriors either. I think you got Atlanta is loading up heavily down in that area, but I don't know if they got enough experience yet. So you got to look at those teams that have been around. I think Utah is one of them. Phoenix picking up Chris Paul, who believes he can still hoop, could be very strong for them. So those are teams that I think you got to look at that may still be able to provide a run for that for the push LA on the East and West Coast.
Yeah, I was looking at the Celtics.
The Celtics
Looking,
too as well.
yeah, the Celtics. Looking at Denver. Looking at the Clippers. Looking at
Denver, I'm a
Utah.
little suspect on Denver, but Utah, yeah, and of course I left out the Celtics, but I think the Celtics have done a few things out there to retool what they need to do. So they have to be considered as a contender as well, in my opinion, on the East Coast.
Now the I'm not quite sure where Miami is going to be. Have you?
Miami did very well last year, and I think according to that's someone else I left out. They after the performance they put on last year. I do think you have to, and that's something that I left out. That you do have to consider Miami because they played very well. Sports really had those guys right on the edge. They've made a couple of twists and tools changes there, but they're coming back strong. So you've got to kind of nod your head in their direction as well. I like what Atlanta is doing. They really tooled up, but I just think they're a couple of years away. I think they'll be more competitive than they were last year, obviously, but I just don't know if they got enough to push what they need to get done. But I think they'll be a much more exciting team, and I think they'll be more competitive.
I heard Doc, and I'm pretty sure you saw the interview of what he was saying about the pandemic,
Yeah,
the league overall, because as we speak of the NFL and what they've been going through, the colleges, some games have been, I think Maryland, I think Michigan game has been canceled or postponed. But there's been so many things that's been either canceled, moved.
right.
That it's been they the country or whatever it is has been trying to work around it, through it, over it, under it. They're going to make it work. Somehow,
Well,
some way, they're going to make it work. Doc was trying. Well, I guess they were just speaking of, like, it's going to happen at some point to some
sure it
teams. Some
is.
games are going to be canceled, so on and so forth.
Players gonna be out. And that's one of his concerns is, you got a team like the 76ers. You can't afford to have three or four of your better players out. It's his first year there. He's building his roster, and he's depending on his these players. If he lose those guys for 14 days, shoot, that's 4 or 5 games that he's playing that he possibly could lose. You look at the Warriors; they delayed their workouts because two players they tested positive. And Doc's concern is a valid concern that in the bubble you didn't have those concerns, but now we're outside of the bubble and they don't have as much. How is that going to work out? I'm sure they're doing the best they can to try to manage it. Every sports team is trying to do its best to manage it from high school, college, and to the professional ranks. But it's not always manageable. The Titans here in Tennessee have struggled. They had as many as 9 players down one time that had come had become not quarantined, but actually were infected. So and I think it's inevitable. I think his point is well taken. It is a risk that you're taking. It's a part of the game. It's how you structure and how you try and plan for it. But there is no. I don't know if there is a plan because COVID is here
Right.
and it is wreaking havoc. Now, better behaviors maybe say guys really following protocol tighter. Hopefully that helps. Wearing face shields and trying to. I understand the CDC is making recommendations about quarantine now instead of 14 days or something. Depending upon circumstances, it could be 7 to 10 days. I heard something today about instead of 6 feet apart, we need to stay 3 feet apart. So I think they are evolving as this virus evolves with how we can treat that. But when you look at sports like football, you look at basketball where we're in close contact with one another, it's just so difficult. It's high risk. And not only now do you have to manage the game and players, you got to manage the roster in case something happens. So it's no different than going to work in corporate environment. It's the same principle. What happens if I lose my key staff members? So he makes a valid point. I'm sure they would all like to go back to the bubble and play in the bubble, but that was a very, very expensive venture. Worked out very well, but I just don't see them going back to that right now.
It, you know, Generally at the start of the show, I asked you to give me an update on what's going on there. How's things going as far as there at the school? Uh, what's the status of the football and what's the status of the
Well,
basketball now?
our football team is in the state championship this Saturday,
Okay.
so we'll see how that works out. This is the first time they've been there in several years. Several years. We won it last time they were there. It's been about 18 years ago, I think, somewhere like this. So we're very excited about that. Basketball is off to a start. We so far we've been able to meet our schedules. Some of our opponents are suffering. Like a girls' side next week, a couple of games got changed because the whole basketball team's quarantined. But at our school itself, so far so good. Wrestling is doing its thing, and we've so far we've been able to maintain its schedule. Basketball is up and running, and we've been able to maintain our schedule thus far. Now, kids are remote as of this past Monday. That really does help an awful lot to keep them away from others, as long as they do that on their own. And they will be remote all of this week. Now, at the end of the week, the school system and the county and the CDC will reevaluate status in the community and in the school and determine whether or not we stay remote or do we come back to campus. Some parents are deciding, especially athletes, where they can, they're trying to keep their kids home and go remote and go online. There are some challenges about that because of the time frame. So we're surviving right now. We're making do. We're keeping our fingers crossed and just pushing forward.
Oh, okay. So how many games have you played so far?
We have played five.
Five. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they played five. We played
And
five games so far.
now, because see, Vince, I've been out of school for so long, and it's so confusing to me now. I used to know how it used to be junior varsity and varsity. I don't because I don't know what that is anymore. I don't know if there's like a ninth grade varsity junior. I don't know. So how is it
But
now?
we
I
have
mean, I'm
freshman
saying there's
JV.
junior varsity and varsity, right?
We have freshman JV and varsity.
See. Okay, I'm sorry. What is it now?
Freshman
Okay,
JV and varsity.
okay. So there's three.
Three teams.
Okay,
Some freshmen and combine them into a JV. But we're fortunate enough to have enough players, both boys and girls, where we can have a JV, a freshman team, and then we can turn around and have a JV team, and then we can also turn around and have a varsity team.
so okay. Is the high school there ninth through 12th?
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Now, have you had a ninth grader play on the varsity?
yes.
Okay.
We got one playing this year, and
Oh,
we got a
wow.
fresh, got a freshman playing JV, starting point guard,
Okay.
the freshman.
Now,
So we play the best player. We don't care
right,
where
right.
as long as you can perform the job, you can get the job done. It keeps the program competitive. It keeps it from getting stale. You got to perform every day. And man, these two kids have by far been outstanding in their efforts. And so they, obviously, we got a sophomore that's playing up to, but he made it. The freshman come in. He's a great athlete, and he's doing very well. We got three football players that'll be coming back to us after Saturday's game, and that's going to change the dynamics of what we look like, which I think is truly going to enhance us. To be honest with you, so the future looks really bright for us as long as we can stay healthy.
Vince, let me ask you this, Ray. Whether it's regardless of what sport it is, because it happens on all sports, do the scouts let you know ahead of time that they're going to be looking at some of your players? And I'm talking about it could be football, could be tennis, could be swimming, could be basketball.
Well, basically,
Do scouts show up sometimes and not you don't even know it? Or do they let you know that
they
they're
just can't
coming
show up.
to watch a
They, they,
player?
they just can't show up like that.
Oh,
Not in
really?
most high. They won't let them on. You got to contact somebody and say, "Listen, I'm going to come down," because you're not just going to walk on campus. They're not going to allow you to do
No.
that. So
I mean, just coming to the game is what I'm saying. Just
if you
coming to
want
the
to come
game.
to the game, you can come to the game.
Right,
Uh,
right.
we,
All right.
we,
That's what I'm talking about. I'm
that's
talking about
not.
the scouts just show up and
Sometimes they do. Most of the time, they don't want to. They want to make a contact with the kid. They want the kid to know that I'm interested in you. So they go through the coach, they go through the family. They may come and watch, but they do a lot of film work. They look at a lot of film. A lot of them right now with COVID, they can't travel like they used to and go and
right.
watch games. So they're doing a lot of tape stuff. Beforehand, they might decide I'm down in the area. I'm gonna go watch 2 or 3 games and watch these kids. They do that. They normally contact the head coach and say, "Listen, I'm gonna be in your area. I want to come watch your kid. Okay, we'll give you a pass. Let's get you in so you can see what you want to see." And let them meet with the coach and have a conversation. They'll come to practices. 'Cause that's where they have to contact because they just can't walk in on 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 um, on our practices without us letting us know that they're there. So they do a good job of getting a lot of this starts in the AAU circuit when they start watching kids out there and watching them play. They follow them around the country. This year, being the pandemic year, has been a little bit more challenging. It's more video than probably ever before because there's not that many games being played, so they do a lot of tape watching. But we've had some guys come visit and just want to look at a couple of kids. And we had a couple of kids that have taken team visits. We got a kid going to John Hopkins. He'll be playing basketball and he'll be a student there. So he just signed about 2 weeks ago. So it's still taking place. We just signed a bunch of kids 2 weeks ago in various sports going to various schools. There was eight of them that were going. So they come and watch, but primarily now because of the limit due to COVID, they're really contacting coaches and coming to practices and looking at a lot of film.
You know what I think would be a good show for you to do that I know that you would do a great job, and that is to break that down from a scouting standpoint. And what I mean by that is that a regional thing? Does scouting based on the school is it a territorial? How does that work? Does certain schools recruit from this area? What that type of thing. Because is it a word of mouth?
Different. It's different. High school, college is different. The
Right.
procedures are like right in this area right here. We have five. You got Tennessee State. You got Belmont. You got oh shucks, Tennessee State, Belmont. You got 2 or 3 other schools right here. Lipscomb University, Lipscomb and Belmont are side by side. Tennessee State is right across town over there. So you got guys right here that can go and see what they want to see. We talked to them. You got Trevecca's here. Trevecca's also right here. So yeah, that's 4 colleges right here. So these guys are looking for the best players. Some coaches recruit regionally within their areas. Others go differently. On the collegiate side, it's different because then it's broken down parts of the country. But in the high school program, these guys kind of look for that next. A lot of these local colleges are really looking at local talent, and we'd had several kids from the area get signed to some of the local schools, and some of them going on to do football. We've had several kids go outside of the area, not so much locally, because football programs locally from the collegiate level, and these schools are not that strong. They're strong basketball schools. So a lot of those kids are going, the football players are going to UT Martin, University of Tennessee, Tennessee, Chattanooga. We got a couple of kids going to Alabama. So it's a little bit different because the colleges are regional. They kind of look at they got scouts out there checking certain parts, but high school is a little bit different.
Now let's talk about something that I know that you want to talk about, and that's some college basketball right there. I saw where your Dukies lost to who was that? Was it Michigan State? They lost to Michigan State
Michigan
at
State
at at Duke, right?
at, at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and and Coach K got on and came up with some crazy excuse as to what happened. They just got their butt beat. Because Carolina, they didn't do much better. They came back and got beat. They won their game and then came back and I think tonight got beat by Texas by 2 points. And 2 years ago, Texas demolished them in the in the fall classic in the what is it, the tournament play. They just got beat up on really bad,
Right.
and so but tonight it was a 2 point loss. But they look pretty good, but still a loss is a loss. I'm sure Roy is not happy with that at all. Duke's got to regroup and come back. It's the first time they've been Michigan's won that invitational that they had and beat them in the first game. So that doesn't fare well for them, but it's just the first game.
Yeah. I saw where Kentucky got beat by Kansas last night.
It was a good game, but Kentucky's young, and one of the things that Calipari said, which is true, is that they got a tough schedule because he's trying to teach these kids. He's trying to mature them very quickly. They haven't had the time they would ordinarily have to try to get these kids together. So he was saying, don't blame the kids for their performance. Blame me for the schedule. Me being Calipari and what they're trying to do because they're playing a tough schedule. And these young kids, and they're going to learn on the fly. Now, based on his perception, by the end of the season or midway through the season, they will have matured and they'll be playing a different brand of basketball if it
Well,
works out.
well, that's the purpose of it. That's
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 what
what's
he's
supposed
done.
to
A good
happen.
job. He's done a real good job of maturing these young players. And by the time they get to mid-season toward the end of the season tournament play, they're no longer playing like freshmen. And he's
Right.
got some good talent. They're just young. It's just very young.
Well, season just started. I don't know if you had a chance to look at any of the top 15 or the top 10 or whatever.
But
Uh,
Gonzaga right now is ranked number one. They play. I saw a little bit of their play tonight. I'm watching Illinois, a little bit of Illinois and Baylor. It's going to be some interesting ball out there. But we haven't seen the Florida States because I'm a big ACC guy. So far we've seen the Duke and the Carolinas, but we haven't seen Syracuse, Florida State, some of those. I think Notre Dame is now in there, so it's going to be interesting to see how that looks like. I think it's one of the toughest conferences, the ACC. So we'll see how it plays out.
well, wanted to ask you. I mean, not really, but as we transition and talking about the NFL, and you saw this game that was supposed to be played on Thanksgiving, then it got moved, and then it got moved, and it got moved.
Mm.
Were you surprised that Baltimore played as well as they did? I guess.
I am.
I
I,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big adjustment. As much as I'm surprised about Baltimore playing as well as they did, I'm equally surprised at Pittsburgh being able to stay focused and play as well as they did to maintain their record and to be able to go out there and play because that's a big adjustment. You're following a routine and you get up to that date, you're on schedule, then all of a sudden you got to change and you got to start your routine over and make those adjustments. That's not easy to do, and you can very easily lose focus because you kind of working toward a crescendo where we're repping that thing up, and by certain days, game day, we're ready to go. Now that's been canceled. Now we got to, in essence, move that to another day and keep changing it. It can affect the team, but they stay focused and they got out there and got it done.
Actually, actually, I jumped ahead of myself. College football. You think Harbaugh going to be back next year at Michigan?
I, I don't think so. I really don't. I, I no. I think they like him, but he's got to win, and he hadn't won.
No.
He hadn't won, and I don't think he can recover this year. And I think they'll let him finish out the year, but I think in the offseason they'll get rid of him.
Did I don't know? Did they add some games to Florida State schedule? Because I understand that they were done based on, I think they were like 2-6, and then they was having some issues with the schedule, and then I heard that they now have two more games.
And then I'm not aware of that. It
Right.
might make sense in order to get them, in order to complete. It may not be for their benefit. It may be for somebody else's benefit to make sure they have the qualifying games. And Florida State's need to play because I think they lost a couple of games. So it could be the opportunity for them to. And they haven't had a good season at all. I mean,
Oh no.
they fired Taggart for the same thing. So let's see how they do this guy here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Any surprises you've seen in college football? Yeah.
Well, Notre Dame surprised me. Clemson's rolling right along. Ohio State, yeah, but Alabama's kind of going along kind of quietly. Nobody's saying. I think people just forgot about Alabama a little bit, and they're 8-0. I think they're 8-0. They're rolling right along. So that's not a surprise, but I just think nobody's really looking at them right now, and they're just slowly just moseying down there, just mowing folk down as they go. Clemson looks strong. Notre Dame looked good the other day too. They look really good. So I think those are the four teams, and I think they got Ohio State in there. So could be interesting.
Well, you know that the was that Clemson and Notre Dame going to play for their conference championship.
That's going to be interesting. I really think that'll be a great matchup. Two great coaches, two great strategies, but two different kinds of teams. That's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, yeah. This time
Trevor,
they Clemson going to have the quarterback. So
they're going to have Trevor. Trevor's going to be there, so it's going to add some pressure to those guys trying to deal with that young man.
yeah, yeah.
He's
Okay,
a tough matchup.
now back to the NFL. Last week the the Texans was all over Detroit, man. Or was that 40? Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, enough that the coach got fired.
But GM got fired also. They fired the GM too. They fired the coach and the GM.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
oh, that's it's tough. It's tough business. It's the nature of the job. I mean, but you look at that with the holidays coming, and these guys. I mean, these guys are gonna be fine. They're gonna get their salaries or whatever they're gonna happen to them. They're gonna be okay. But it just goes to show you how human they are. What was the guy from Kent? Was it who was the trainer? The conditioning coach died recently
right.
from
From
uh,
Dallas.
was it Dallas?
Yeah, yeah,
Was it Cowboys?
yeah. Uh huh.
Yeah, it was the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Just
Uh huh.
goes to show you how human real life really touches them and their family. We just understand that coach gets fired, he's fired, and you go on to another coach, but that's a great impact on the family and emotional trauma on the family. It's not so much economics. I mean, they're gonna get paid, and many times they're gonna end up getting another job. But that initial shock of having lost your job and then having to recover from that, and then here the guy just gets sick, rushed to the hospital, and he dies. What an emotional trauma that puts on the team. So again, more impressed that Pittsburgh could stay focused, given some of the obstacles that are in front of them, and that they could get back out there and play. Detroit is. I really thought they were going to do better than under the coach that they had. They gave him three. What is it? 2 years, 3 years, and he was unable to get it done. So okay, that's within reason. That
Well,
I, I think I hate to see a coach get fired, but you got to produce, and you give a guy 2 to 3 years to get it done. That's kind of reasonable. If you're going to have to do it.
right. Well, they was I heard guys talking on the sports talk show, and they said that he's just not a player coach. He's very arrogant.
Well, if he lost, yeah, yeah. When you lose a locker room, you're in trouble. There's nothing you can do once you lose the locker room. Once you lose the locker room, because if nobody's listening to you, then it's a mute point. And that's the greatest trauma that could happen to a team. They no longer listen to the coach. He doesn't have control over it.
The Bills all over the Chargers.
Bill surprised me. They're playing a different kind of ball than I thought they were playing. The Chargers surprised me too that they have not played to what I thought was their capability. But it may have been not so much them not playing to their capability, but Bill's playing just a better brand of ball.
The Titans beat up on the Colts.
I kind of anticipated that. I was pulling for the Titans to do that. The Titans trying to get it together. They're slowly putting it together. So I wasn't too surprised about that.
The Vikings was 1 point better than the Panthers.
Yeah, I expected that. Well, let's just put it this way: I expected the Vikings to win.
The Jaguars actually came back, made it a game, but the Browns won by two.
Browns impressed me a little bit. The Jaguars have been struggling, but did show up and try to play some ball. But there's going to be some changes there as well.
Oh, the Patriots. Ugly win against the Arizona, but a win is a win.
When is a win? They're going through a tough transition period there. But I think it's going to, if Cam can stay in there, keep his head straight, this thing is going to work out for him. Belichick will get him through. He'll get the team through. But Cam's got to stop making errors, creating errors, and really kind of stay on the game page. And I think he'll do all right because he's not playing that bad. He's making some couple of decisions I think are questionable, but overall, not hasn't done bad at all. Better, a lot better than I thought he was going to do.
Giants beat the Bengals, and I think the Giants quarterback is hurt. I think.
Yeah, but that was interesting. I was kind of happy for the Giants a little bit. They've been discounted and thrown in the bushes, but they came back and played well. So I'm kind of excited for them.
I thought the Jets would give the Dolphins a better game, but the Dolphins all over the Jets.
And they're doing it with their backup quarterback too, Fitzgerald. He's really proving his worth. If he doesn't go back to the Dolphins, somebody's going to sign him. He'll probably be a starter somewhere.
Can you tell me what happened to the Raiders? The Falcons 43-6 over the Raiders.
Don't know. I watched some of that and I was absolutely blown away. That because I thought the Raiders were playing. First of all, I had no faith in the Falcons. And I know they got a new coach, and a lot of time that does change things. A new voice, new approach, new enthusiasm. They just exploded, and the Raiders could do nothing about it. Nothing. They just stood there and just got beat up on. Shock. That's a shocker for me.
You know the Broncos didn't have a quarterback, and it showed. The Saints beat them 31-3.
Well, I would have been betting on the Saints anyway. But how crazy was that? All got COVID. Got sick. That's amazing. They must all hang out together.
Yeah, the 49ers beat the Rams.
Surprised. Surprised at that. I'm really surprised at that. That was a big shocker there.
The There you go. The Chiefs beat up on the Buccaneers.
I can't. My Buccaneer friends, all of a sudden, their phone's not working. And I call, nobody calls back. I'm like, I mean, it's nothing personal. I'm just following up like I do every week, and they don't want to talk to me right now. I tell them when my Cowboys lose, I answer my phone. In fact, I call, and but they all of a sudden they too busy to answer the line. I said, "Cause Brady looked like he is old."
Speaking of your Cowboys, the Washington Redskins really did a number on them, 41 to
He,
16.
and I got right on the phone after the game and called all of my Washington fans and acknowledged the fact that you just beat our butts and you beat us very well. I'm not ashamed of them. I mean, I'm gonna own up to them. I'm gonna stay with them. It's embarrassing, but I'm a true fan. We stuck. We stuck terribly.
The uh, the Packers beat up on the Bears,
I thought that
41
was.
to
I
25.
watched a little bit of that. I really kind of liked what I saw from Aaron Rodgers. Really, I thought played one of his better games.
The the Eagles going down, they got beat by the Seahawks 23 to
Not
17.
surprised by that. I mean, that's a tall order for them. Seahawks playing pretty good football. They're playing darn good football, and I wouldn't have given them a chance to win anyway.
And in today's game, the Steelers beat the Ravens 14, I
Yeah,
mean 19 to 14.
I would have said the Raiders. I mean the Steelers anyway.
This coming week, the Saints speaking, I mean, I don't know what Falcons, going to show up. They play against the Saints Sunday.
I don't think they beat the Saints. I think I'd be shocked, but I'm gonna go with the Saints.
The Browns. Oh, the Browns and the Titans. You know that should be a good game.
Browns and who?
Tennessee.
Oh, well, I'm definitely going with Tennessee.
The Lions and the Bears.
I think the Lions in trouble, so I think the Bears got a chance to take advantage of them.
The Bengals and the Dolphins.
I still think the Dolphins are rolling along. I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah. Oh man, the Jaguars. Vince, man, what happened to the Jaguars? You know, a couple of years ago, they had a really good team.
They traded off a lot of people and got very little in return. And I think they changed coaches, they changed their player personnel director. Tom Coughlin was down there. They ran Tom off, and ever since they did that, their player personnel has not been what the two their drafts, and they just got to retool. They haven't done a good job of doing that.
Yeah,
Because
but
you're
they
right.
play against the Vikings
I don't think they
Sunday.
beat. I don't see them beating the Vikings.
The Colts and the Texans.
Colts are a little bit surprising to me. I'm gonna go with them on this one because they're playing. They're surprising me, so I'm gonna go with the Colts.
Okay. It looks like the Raiders going to get a chance to rebound after that bad showing against Atlanta because they play against the Jets.
Now they should run away with that, and if
Yeah.
they don't, shocked. Some
Nothing.
folks gonna get fired. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, if you play a bad game there's nothing like your next game being the Jets.
Carry.
The Giants against Seattle.
Oh, I don't like the Giants against. I really can't go with them on that.
Yeah, I'm going with Seattle. The
Yeah, I think Roy.
Cardinals against the Cardinals against the Rams.
I think the Rams back, but Cardinals got showing a lot of spunk, but I think the Rams are going to bounce back.
If Arizona is playing at home, I'm going to go with Arizona. The Patriots, Cam playing against the Chargers.
They got to be careful on that one. I'm gonna go with the Chargers on that one.
Okay, I think I might go with the Chargers as well. Then you got the Eagles. The Eagles, man, because they've been slamming the Eagles quarterback because they've been the fans been asking for what's the rookie name?
Um,
Hurt,
yeah,
hurt. Yeah,
they might as well put him in.
the Eagles play against the Packers, so I'm ex- the Packers probably going to win by at least by like
Yeah, the
probably
Packers
about
should
like
win.
two by two
Yeah, down.
touchdowns. I don't know if the Broncos going to have the quarterbacks back, but they play against the Chiefs.
Excuse me, I don't think it matters. They ain't have my all back, and I don't think it's gonna make any difference at all.
Okay, so there's some games that's been moved because I think there was a Thursday night game that's been moved to Tuesday. But let's talk about there's two Monday night games. The Washington Redskins going up against the Steelers.
Well, that's a loss for the Washington group. They're gonna get beaten.
Yeah, that game is actually at 5 o'clock on
Yeah,
Monday. So looking to see about that. And then there's the Bills, against the 49ers.
the Bills have surprised me with the way that they've played. I'm gonna go with the Bills on this one.
Okay, okay, that's a regular Monday night game.
How about them Cowboys? Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, I think we got the Ravens, and I'm pulling for the Cowboys. We gonna get our brains beat in.
Well, they're playing against the Ravens. I think that was the Thursday night game that's been moved to Tuesday, right?
Okay, well, they can move it the next month if they want to. We're going to get our head handed to us. We're just not playing that kind of ball right now. Offensively, I think we're more of a threat. And defensively, we just cannot stop anybody. It's taken away from Dalton's performance. He is not doing a bad job, but they just can't stop anybody. So I mean, I'm pulling for the Cowboys, but I think the Ravens win without a doubt.
Okay. Well, this is Youth Central Sports. Normally, we would have the elder, Rory T. Edwards, but he's somewhere in flight to Atlanta. He promised to
It's
be
fine.
back. But this is Charles Morse with the original Coach Carter, somewhere in the mountains in Tennessee. Understand what's the temperature there right
Right
now?
now, right now we're 28 degrees and
28
falling.
degrees. All right.
We'll be
He
19.
he about to get up and walk to 7-Eleven.
Yeah, right. I'm 11 down, right across my way to the refrigerator.
Well,
That's
you make
close.
well, you make sure you subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like button. You know we really appreciate it. We come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Youth Central Sports, because sports is more than a game. And man, you seem like you're tired, Vince. Man, you all
Rough
right?
schedule. I'm running, man. I'm running back and forth. I'm handling two practices a day, and plus I got school. So I mean, it's rough right now. I mean, but it's what
Okay.
I love. It's what I love. But it's ooh, they're cut. One time today, I thought I'm out. I can't go no more. But I'm right back in
Okay.
the saddle.
All right.
Right
Well,
back.
you go and get you some rest. And
I'm
when is your next game? Next boys game?
Friday.
Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Okay.
JV varsity play Friday.
Okay.
So we get a chance to get out there and get it done.
All right. Well, you go and get you some rest, and
Man,
we'll get a chance to do it all over again next Wednesday.
looking forward to it.
All right. All right. Everybody, be safe. Make sure that you keep your proper distancing and make sure you wash your hands. Blessing to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. The original Coach Carter, Charles Morris. With this
Be
is
blessed.
Youth Central Sports. Everybody,
Amen.
please, again, be blessed.
You've been watching Youth Central Sports with the original Coach Carter, the elder Rory T. Edwards, and Charles E. Morse. Like us on Facebook and YouTube, and make sure that you subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Join us again next week for Youth Central Sports, because sports is more than a game. This has been a Youth Central Connection production.